Oh, howdy there, folks. How are y'all doing? My name is Reese, and welcome to a video that's gonna get me probably in a bit of trouble with certain people. But, boy howdy, I wanted to talk about this. I saw my feed light up a couple of days ago, story after story, video after video. Oh my gosh, Bayonetta boycott. Serious stuff is going down here. And I was like, oh my gosh. You never know in the video game industry. You know, you got people like Activision Blizzard, you got like Bobby Kotick out there. You never know what's going on. And I was expecting the worst when I saw that the voice actor, the original voice actor, Hellena Taylor, the original voice actor of Bayonetta, was calling for fans to boycott the game. I wasn't sure what we were going to come across. I assumed it was going to be awful. And it turns out it's just kind of nothing and a bit pathetic. Yeah, sorry if you expected me to be on board with the boycott, but no, not at all. Not even a little bit. I'm going through story after story about how apparently they didn't want to pay her enough. And of course, she came out with all of this on literally the worst social media platform on the planet, Twitter, in the form of 4 2-minute videos, which is the worst possible way. And each one plays out like an independent video, but also plays out like it's part of a series. Why just make a YouTube video? I don't understand. That's not what we need to be focused on here, though. What we need to be focused on is the content of the videos themselves. So, 1,000-yard up, looking down, overview of the whole situation, in case you don't know. Hellena Taylor was the original voice of Bayonetta. They had her come in and audition for 3. They offered her $4,000. She turned them down, said it was too low. They said okay, and they got someone else to do it. Now, if you're wondering what that looks like in more detail, that's it. That's the whole story. That's it. That's the whole reason she's calling on fans to boycott the game, and it's hilarious. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean. It's just she keeps likening herself to Lazarus from the Bible. I'm not joking. That's in one of these videos, as well as NHS workers, the National Health Service of the UK. Apparently, they're not paid enough. They have to rely on food lines to feed their families, according to Helena. I don't know. I don't live there. And she's likening herself to that situation. Just to be clear, let me just restate this. They offered her an amount of money because they're a company, they can set the price. And she said, you know, I believe I am worth more than that. I believe that I have a higher value than that, and I'm not going to take that insultingly low amount of money. Perfectly fair. She is an independent voice actor. She gets to make that call. She doesn't want to work for a low sum. She does not have to. I respect that. I honor that. I think that's great. Unsurprisingly, the game still has to be made, and if they can find someone else to do it, possibly also for an insultingly low amount of money, if you can find someone else to do it as well for the price you were looking to pay, why would you not do that? It seems like that's what they did. And now she's upset about it. I know, I'm laughing. I know it seems like I've seen so many hot takes from people, including on Twitter, where everyone is just a flaming angry imbecile. I take nothing. And Twitter is like, you take the extreme of both sides of what any issue, and you just get the dumbest people, and that's what Twitter is, and I hate it. But I've seen so many hot takes from people who are like, I'm absolutely boycotting this game, this is unreasonable. No, it isn't. No, it is not at all unreasonable. Let me paint a picture for you, okay? Let's all put ourselves into these shoes, and we'll try to explain it by using a different medium to kind of convey, right? Because the world of voice actors, I think, is so far beyond a lot of us that we can't really, you know, there's all these politics at play. Let's just simplify it a lot, okay? Mickey D's opens up in town. There's a Mickey D's, and your name is Bob, and you run a plumbing service. So during construction, they get Bob out there. Bob's Plumbing rolls into the Mickey D's and gets all the plumbing installed. And you're like, I built this plumbing. And then a few years down the line, a pipe bursts, and they have you come in, and you fix the pipe. And that's your second time at the Mickey D's. And you're like, that's right. I'm the plumber. I'm Bob at Mickey D's. And then they need a new restroom installed, and they call you out, and they're like, hey, can you give us an estimate on how much it's going to cost to do that? You're like, I'm Bob's Plumbing. You give them the estimate, and the Mickey D's looks over it and says, you know what? I don't think we're going to be able to pay you that. We're not really interested in paying you that. You're like, I'm worth it, though. I'm the best plumber in town. They say, sure, but we can find someone else to do it for $4,000. That's what we were looking to spend. And you're like, this is my price. This is what I'm worth. I'm Bob's Plumbing. And they're like, okay. And then a couple months later, Bob, we are Bob. We go by and we see that the Mickey D's has opened their new restroom. And we then decide to pull into the parking lot and protest the Mickey D's and say, don't go in there! They didn't hire Bob's Plumbing to do the pipe work! So, the reason I'm laughing, you have to understand, it's not that I'm making fun of Hellena here, okay? I respect that she turned down the offer. It does, $4,000 for what goes into a voice acting role? I mean, you're reading a lot of dialogue. I respect that she turned that down, because that does seem like an insultingly low amount of money. But the studio did nothing wrong. The studio said, okay, well, we'll find someone else to do it for cheap. And she kind of throws this person under the bus here in one of these videos here. I think it's probably the second or third one. Okay, here it is. I found it. We're gonna watch through this together. And
they now have a new girl voicing her over. And I love actors. I wish her all the joy in the world. I wish her all the jobs. But she has no right to say she is the voice of Bayonetta. I created that voice. She has no right to sign merchandise as Bayonetta.
I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of her. It's just that's such a stupid thing to say. So first off, she calls her a new girl. It's Jennifer Hale. Jennifer Hale is the voice of Bayonetta now. And it is impossible to throw a stick and not have it land on something that Jennifer Hale has voiced. Jennifer Hale is one of the most prolific voice actresses in the business. She is not a new girl. I guess she's new to the role of Bayonetta. Sure, you could say that. But she absolutely does have a right to say that she is Bayonetta, because she is. She's hired for the role. She did the voice. In Bayonetta 3, she's Bayonetta. If someone hands her a Bayonetta toy, she can sign it. It's not like you're going to tell Ewan McGregor, hey, you can't sign that Obi-Wan toy. You're not Alec Guinness. Who's going to say that? I believe it's this third video here where we get the comparison to the biblical character of Lazarus and the rich man, a parable told by Christ. And the purpose of the parable is to demonstrate to, I believe it was the Pharisees he was speaking to, that just because you are rich and well-to-do on earth, that doesn't mean you're better than a lowly poor person like Lazarus. Because Lazarus had faith in his heart in Christ, and so when he died, he went to heaven. And you can't say the same for the rich man. The rich man thought he had it all, but his heart went astray. And it's been used many times by people meaning to peddle some sort of ideology or political philosophy to suggest that rich people can't go to heaven, which is not what the verse is. It's not what it's about at all. She's characterized this entire event as the rich elites versus the lowly scum of the earth. I'm not joking either. Hold on. I think she actually refers to the folks at Nintendo as fat cats in this. Hold on.
So, to Kamiya, the presidents of Nintendo, and all other fat cats around the world, I would like to quote to you from the greatest moral teacher who ever lived, Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. Amen.
Of Lazarus and the rich man.
And then she takes it out of context, which is not her fault. A lot of people do it. This is coming off of the first video, where I think she literally opens this one. Within the first few seconds, she mentions how much the first game made. Like, that's relevant to how much she gets paid.
The Bayonetta franchise made an approximated $450 million.
Yes, and a whole lot of that went into development, paying developers, paying for the distribution. It's not like that money, a lot of people will say something like that, and then they'll just let it sit as though all of that money is just sitting in a piggy bank somewhere, and I only received a small pittance. You're probably wondering why I'm laughing at all this, right? It's just such a relief to find out that no one was violated in some way by someone, which is what you expect anytime you hear about drama, boycotts in the game industry. You expect the worst, and to find out that no, a voice actress wanted more money and the company said, we'll just go with someone else, and now she's calling for a boycott.
They'll probably try and do a spin-off with Jan. Don't buy that either.
It's just the way that She says it. She's like this, like cold, bitter, like, don't buy that either. Hellena Taylor, I have no qualms with you as a person. I don't wish you ill will. What I will say is you've probably just thrown your career in the toilet. And at some point in this, she even says that she's scared of the company and the NDA and that she's going to get in trouble. Maybe legally they're going to come after her. I think what I would be concerned about if I were in your shoes is the fact that you're now unhireable. Let me explain. There will be possibly companies who want to look good, who want to grandstand, who come out and say, that's unreasonable, we'll give you a role and we'll pay you double that, or something along those lines. And that's what they will say publicly, because that makes them look good in the face of a angry Twitter mob who makes up 0.1% of your actual customer base and who are probably never going to buy the game in the first place. There's a story in there. I'm reminded now of Sean Veneman, but we'll come back to that maybe another time. However, what matters is not what companies say publicly. What matters is what they say behind closed doors. And here's what they're saying now. Should we get Hellena Taylor to be in our game? No. Because if even one small thing goes wrong, she'll put us on blast on Twitter and we'll have to deal with the fallout of it. She's like poison in the water. We don't want her anywhere near this project. No. You might say, that's not fair, that's unreasonable. That is the reality of how companies talk about people. All right? I know, it seems unfair, it seems unreasonable, it seems unjust. But we're not talking about your idealistic world you want to live in, we're talking about the reality we do live in. And in this reality, Hellena Taylor has now painted herself as someone who, if you don't offer me enough money, I'm going to boycott your game, and I'm going to call tens of people to boycott it with me. Or if you offer me an insultingly low amount of money, or if you look at me weird out of the corner of your eye and I think, hey, wait a minute, I think that's because they're not giving me the respect you're unhireable now. As for Nintendo and everyone else involved on the other side of this, Hideki Kamiya has deleted his Twitter account, even though I think it's the third part here, she mentioned that she wrote Hideki Kamiya and he was like, hey, I really wanted you in this, and I really liked you in the role, and then Platinum, Nintendo, one of the two, was like, $4,000? For some reason, people have been going after him. I think he might have tweeted something about this. Yeah, so I'm on the Gamerant website now, and in their article, they actually had the tweet baked in, now that Hideki Kamiya's entire Twitter account is gone. It's just this. But I did see this tweet. This is what it said. Sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth. That's what all I can tell now. By the way, beware of my rules. So, Hideki Kamiya, if you respond to him in English, he'll ban you. It's one of the funniest things on the internet. But yeah, it sounds like there's another side to this story that we're not getting. Which brings me to this point. If you've watched this video and you feel like I'm being unfair and unreasonable with my assertion that it's very funny that a woman is trying to compare her plight to people who literally can't afford to feed their children and to a biblical story about a rich man and a poor man, if you think that me laughing at her saying that a person who voices Bayonetta cannot claim to be Bayonetta, if you think that's all unfair, you've taken her side without hearing the other side. You don't know the reality of what's happened. Now, I'm not going to automatically side with the big corporation and say that Nintendo's in the right, or that Platinum's in the right, or Hideki Kamiya is in the right. What I am going to say is, we don't know! At the end of the day, her entire complaint boils down to, they offered me too little money, I said no thank you, and they hired someone else. That is the story! There's no more to it, there's no more background detail that can be added to it, in my opinion, that makes her stance any more significant. There's nothing else that can be added to that story that makes her side more compelling, because it's just that. It's that flat and it's that simple. Any more information that comes out about this can only be damaging to her case, and I say that because if there was anything that she could have done or said that made this more compelling, that would bring us onto her side, she would have put it out there. Because all we have is what she's already said, which is just, they didn't want to pay me enough, so I said no, and they got someone else. That's not a story. That's not a drama. That's not a boycottable offense. So, at this point, pretty much anything that Nintendo or Platinum can come out and say is only going to be damaging to that. But I know a lot of you don't care, because you You like to read headlines and get excited to be a part of something. And she said, we're gonna do a revolution, everybody, against the big fat cats. And you're like, yay, meaning, purpose in my life. I'm gonna boycott this game I probably wasn't gonna buy anyway. And now my meaningless life has purpose. I'm sorry, listen. If you want to boycott this game because you feel like they should have paid her more, that is perfectly fine. I fully support that she turned them down for $4,000. Like I said, that seems like a laughably low amount of money, and I think they probably should have offered her more, but that's the offer they made. She turned it down, so they moved on. That's the story. There's no drama there. That's just what happened, and it happens in business every day. I'm not taking either side. I'm not against her. I'm not against Helen in this case, and I'm not with or against Nintendo. For me, I don't care at all. That's what this comes down to for me. This is just not a story. If you told me that Hideki Kamiya was a in the back, then yeah, I would boycott the game. But there's just nothing here. I'm just going around in circles at this point. I'm just repeating myself. I guess in summary, as I just scroll through article after copy-paste article of them just stating, hey, Hellena Taylor wants you to boycott this game for over a $4,000 offer. It's just all the same story. There's no more detail to it. In closing, what I will say is, if this is something that matters to you, good. Good. If you want to, based on one side of the story, over something that is largely insignificant and meaningless, boycott a game that you maybe were going to buy, fine. I respect it. You have a right to do that. It's a cool thing about living in this free and open capitalist society. If you don't like something, don't pay for it. I canceled my Amazon Prime subscription a long time ago, and I'm never going back. I canceled that. There's things I'm not paying for anymore. I'm not going to give my money to certain places. That's my choice. This is your choice. I respect it. For my part, no, I will not be getting on the boycott wagon. And something I would just say, just something to consider, if this is the sort of thing you're going to boycott a video game for, I think you're going to have to start boycotting a lot more games. Because this is such a minor infraction, I promise you, bigger things happen with every game you've played. I think if I look around, I'm sure every game on the shelves around me, someone was offered an insultingly low amount of money and they passed on it and they hired someone else. Because that's the whole story. There's nothing more to it. You can say that, oh, but she made the character. No, the character was made in the design. The character was made in the writing. It was made in the animation. And yes, part of it was made in the voice acting. But I didn't even notice that there was a different voice actress. I didn't know that there was a difference between Hellena Taylor and Jennifer Hale's performance. When I watched the trailers, it was just Bayonetta. So it's hard to claim that you're taking the soul and the identity of Bayonetta out when I didn't notice a difference. But if you're going to boycott over this, you're going to have to start boycotting a whole lot of other games. That, or you just accept that this was a very dramatized, very, very tugging at heartstrings characterization of events. But I don't even know what they want to achieve. Hellena Taylor, what is your goal with this? Because they're not going to hire you back on to redo the game. And I don't think anyone else is going to hire you again after this either. Not with the risk they would be taking if they somehow slighted you and you decided to retaliate against them. Is the goal just to make Nintendo suffer? So that in the future they don't offer low wages to voluntary people? And then move on to other people who will accept, this is dumb. This is all dumb. And I'm done talking about it. Thank you folks for watching. God bless you, and I'll see you later. Next time. Goodbye.